I think this might be the longest new release video I've ever done. Hi everybody, it's Audrey and welcome back to Chapter and Converse and welcome to another round of new releases. We are talking September. There's a ton of books. We are going to get started immediately with September 1st. So first book I have is called Bad Date by Ellery Lloyd. If you are a Prime member, this was a free Prime first reads. It's super short. It's 58 pages. They are the dark and twisted couple who wrote The Club, which is one of the books that I absolutely loved. I need to catch up on more of theirs, but typically I don't go for short stories, but I do love me a short story by somebody that I love to read from. So this is about an online flirtation between two apparent strangers. It says it takes a deliciously wicked turn. Short story about love, obsession, and deadly deceptions. I feel like it's all the things I love in a book. I don't really want to read anything else about it because it's 58 pages, so I feel like it might give something away. But anyway, if you are looking to start your month with something quick and easy, that might be one to check out. But then we're going to roll into Tuesday, September 2nd. There's a lot of really great books coming out. I actually already have my hands on a few of them, which is really, really fun. But I'm going to start with a book called Hot Desk. This is by Laura Dickerman. I do not have this one. I will be perfectly honest. The cover of this is what caught my eye. I used to, back in the day, when I was at work and forgot to have a hairband around my wrist, I used to use binder clips to pull my hair back sometimes, which you can imagine how good that was for my hair. But anyway, when I saw this, it just reminded me of being in the office and I don't know, loved the cover. So this is pitched, take a breath, as Younger meets Writers and Lovers. And it says a rollicking, sparkling, funny novel that spans decades and generations of a family in the publishing industry. So I love books about writers. I love books about writing. I love that book / TV show. I haven't read the book yet, Younger. And I'm very excited for this. So we are in a post-pandemic publishing industry, and we have two rival editors are forced to share a hot desk on different days of the week, much to their chagrin. If anybody has ever hot desked before, it's kind of the living worst. I remember when my office ages ago went to that world and it was just like, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? But we didn't even have an assigned desk. You just had to check in every day and you just sat where you sat. So anyway, don't miss that at all. But for our protagonists, which will probably make for great tension and good storytelling. So it says Having never set eyes on each other, Rebecca and Ben begin leaving passive-aggressive post-it notes on the pot of their shared cactus. This also reminds me of The Flat Share. I don't know. I have high hopes here. So when the revered literary legend Edward David Adams, known as the Lion, dies, leaving his estate up for grabs, their banter escalates as both work feverishly to land this career-making opportunity. So there's a fierce rivalry, words, and it says it ultimately forces each to decide how far they're going to go to get ahead, what role they want to play in the Lion's legacy, and what they mean to each other. I do love an office book. I feel like there's not enough strong office stories. So The Other Black Girl was a really good office dynamic, publishing industry, social commentary. Not quite sure what was going on. That was a really good book, and it's kind of the first thing I'm thinking of. So similar, but absolutely completely different, other than office publishing industry. But anyway, caught my eye, and we'll see. We'll see if it has the same good humor as Younger has, and I don't know. We will find out. Okay, the next book, which I was super excited about until I realized I already owned it. So it's been renamed. I'm not that bad. Sometimes I'm that bad. This is The Ruling Class by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. And then it's a 2-book duology. The second book is called Lessons in Power. And they have both been reissued and kind of rebranded and are both coming out on September 2nd. So these books were originally published as The Fixer and The Long Game. And after I read The Inheritance Games and I decided I was going to read all the Jennifer Lynn Barnes, I bought these and never read them. So not really a flex to be like, I have the originals, because I do. I've just never actually read them. But I am more excited to read them now that, not that I'm going to buy the new cover, Never World Wake, but I'm very excited to have this back on my radar. The Ruling Class is the first book in the Fixer series. So it says when Tess Kendrick is sent to stay with her older sister in Washington, D.C., she has no idea that Ivy is the capital's go-to fixer. So kind of like an Olivia Pope situation. It says, a person who can make powerful people's scandals disappear with a snap of her fingers. Tess never thought she and Ivy had much in common, but when she enrolls at the exclusive Hardwick School, she soon finds herself thrust into the role of high school fixer, solving problems for the children of D.C. elite. So we have secrets piling up, we have some Capitol Hill, we've got worlds colliding, we have deadly stakes, and Tess has to, make sure she doesn't become a target herself. So I'm very excited for this, but when I saw this, I was like, how does this woman have yet another book coming out? Because she writes so many books. And then when I looked a little closer, I realized what was going on here, but good for her. Great to get these rebranded and out there. I feel like I'm a little bit torn on which cover I like better. I'll pop the original cover here because I didn't sort through my shelves to find it. But anyway, if you are a Jennifer Lynn Barnes fan and have not yet dove into her backlist, this might be a great inspiration to dive into a bit. But the whole scandal homage inspiration of it all is what got me very excited about it. So we've got that. Okay, and now I have two books that I actually physically have. So both of these were sent to me by Berkeley. The first one is If It Makes You Happy by Julie Olivia. So this has like perfect autumnal vibes to it. If you watched one of my other videos, I talked about how I've been reading a lot of non-thrillers lately as I'm trying to write a thriller. So non-thrillery books get me kind of super excited. Don't worry, I'm still reading thrillers. So this says, get comfy and cozy with this slow burn romance set in the glow of 1997 small town Vermont. I love a 90s story. I am a Gen X 90s girl. My new next door neighbor Cliff seems to have everything figured out. Small town golden boy? Check. Single dad extraordinaire? Check. Hot baker forearms? I didn't notice them, I swear. I, on the other hand, don't at all have anything figured out. Trust me, I didn't think taking over my mom's dream bed and breakfast in Copper Run, Vermont was going to be easy. It should be a good place to heal after my divorce. But apparently my scones belong in the garbage with my small talk skills, as pointed out by none other than Cliff. He is unescapable. He knows exactly what people need. His charm, the way he wears flannel, and even his pastries make not wanting to be friends with Cliff and his daughters pretty hard. Friends? I can make friends. That's safe. Except I'm leaving in 3 months to pass the inn off to my little sister and get the promotion in Seattle I've been working towards. So ask me why I'm thinking about kissing my hot neighbor. Well, because he's a hot neighbor who can bake is why you're thinking about it. So we'll see. Slow burn. I hope that doesn't mean it's not steamy. I do like a little steam in my stories. So I have this, and then the other book I have, which I'm super excited about. So this is Save You by Mona Caston. This is the second book in the Maxton Hall series. So Save Me is the first book. And again, if you've watched me for a minute, you would have heard me talk about watching the Maxton Hall series, which was based on the first book on Amazon Prime earlier this year. And I feel like it came out last year. I had a very late to the party winter where I caught up on a whole bunch of TV shows. So this is the second book. These were originally written in German. They were just translated recently, I would say. So the first book I want to say was available in the US in like June, July. You can get this one now in September, and I feel like book 3 is coming in November. So this is translated by, let me get my translator right, hold please. Translated by Rachel Ward. So I kind of don't want to read the back of this to you guys if you haven't read book number 1, but the first book, so it's a like very bougie, actually let me get my computer so I can get it right. But it's basically rich kids behaving real badly. So I love it. And then the outsider girl, because of course you need somebody on the outside. So to be fair, I watched the show. I didn't read book number 1. So I don't want to assume the TV show was completely true to the book, because we know how that can sometimes go. So they come from different worlds, but were they meant for each other? So Ruby Bell couldn't be less interested in the money, glamour, luxury, and power of all of the things at her English boarding school. So she is a scholarship student, and she just wants to keep her head down, work hard, and get into Oxford. She keeps her distance from everyone, especially the arrogant, rich, and extremely handsome James Beaufort, ringleader of the school's party boys. But when Ruby discovers a scandalous secret about the Beauforts, she is suddenly on James's radar. It only gets worse when James is forced to work with her on the school's annual gala. Yet the more time they spend together, the more they realize they share much more than they thought. I never can make these hearts right. So yeah, the TV show was true to this. So falling for him was never part of her plan. She can't help but get a little bit swept away. And as you know, nothing is ever as easy as it seems. So I will say the TV show was a bit steamy. I don't know if the book is, but we'll find out. So book number 2, like I said, available now, or almost now. Now-ish by the time you guys see this video. So definitely excited to check this one out. And excited to see what Ruby and James get up to in book number 2. Okay, let's talk some thrillers. So September 9th, we've got a host of books coming out, including All This Could Be Yours by Hank Phillippi Ryan. She is amazing. I've had a chance to meet her a few times. I have a chance to see her. I've attended online classes with her. Kajillion Emmys, kindest woman on the planet, and she can write a mean psychological thriller. So All This Could Be Yours is about, it says, debut sensation Tessa Calloway is on a whirlwind book tour for her instant bestseller, All This Could Be Yours, book about a writer. In a different city every night, Tessa receives standing ovations from adoring fans, while her husband Henry and their 2 children cheer her on from their brand new dream house. But there's a chilling problem with Tessa's triumphant book tour. She soon realizes she's being stalked by someone who's obsessed not only with sabotaging her career, but also with destroying her perfect family back home. Say it isn't so. Tessa fears the fallout from an impossible decision she once made. What felt like a genuine deal with the devil appears to be coming due. And she's realizing that every high-stakes bargain comes with high-stakes prices. If Tessa can't untangle who's threatening to expose her darkest secrets, she'll lose her career, her family, and possibly her life. I'm very intrigued. I'm very intrigued. I love a book about a writer. My head is spinning about what it could possibly be. Not that it matters, but Hank's typically sets a lot of her books in and around Boston, which I love. That's where she lives. And that's where I used to live, and I get very excited about it. So I'm excited for this. I love her books. They're bingeable. They're a little bit dark. She writes great, strong female main characters, and I'm just always up for, down for whatever it is she's writing. So on the list. The next book I have, which I am very excited for, this is A Killer Motive by Hannah Mary McKinnon. She also can write a deliciously dark book. I'm overdue on reading some more from her. This one says, this cold case is personal. Bum, bum, bum. You never know who's listening. To Stella Dixon, sneaking her teenage brother out of their parents' house for a beach party was harmless fun until Max disappeared without a trace. 6 years later, Stella's family is still broken and she can't let go of her guilt. The only thing that keeps her going is helping other families find closure through A Killer Motive, her true crime podcast. Love a true crime podcast. In a bid to find new sponsors and keep making episodes, Stella goes on a local radio show. But when she says on air that if she had just one clue, she'd find Max and bring whoever hurt him to justice, someone takes it as a challenge. A mysterious invitation to play a game arrives, with the promise that if Stella wins, she'll get information about what happened to Max. Stella thinks it's just a sick joke until Max's best friend vanishes, and she's given new instructions: tell nobody or people will die. Desperate and unable to trust anyone, Stella agrees, but beating a twisted, invisible enemy seems impossible when they make all the rules. Doesn't this one sound so good? I am very excited for this. I love a podcast. I love dark and messed up. This sounds like it's going to be super messed up. And again, she writes some really great books. So excited for this one. Another trope that I love: invite a bunch of people over for dinner and see what happens. 7 Reasons to Murder Your Dinner Guests by KJ Whittle. 3 courses, 7 guests, 1 card. It's a deadly evening they'll never forget. So 7 strangers meet anonymously for a dinner party. They don't know who the host is. As the evening winds down, 7 cards appear, 1 in front of each of the guests. On each card is a number, the age at which the guest will die. Spooked but skeptical, the guests disperse into the rainy night with the hope of forgetting the morbid turn of events. 2 weeks later, 1 guest is dead, at exactly the age the card predicted. More guests begin to die as the years go on, each one dead at the same age as their card. It soon becomes clear that something much more sinister is abound. Now it's up to the quickly dwindling group of dinner guests to figure out who or what was behind that fateful dinner party all those years ago, before their numbers catch up with them. Told from the perspectives of each of the 7 guests, which span from hilarious to hateful, it's a spellbinding and mysterious exploration of mortality, begging the how would you live your life if you knew your number was up. So this definitely feels a bit like 9 Lives by Peter Swanson, which was based on And Then There Were None, but it was like a new twist on that, and this feels like another new twist on that. I'm very intrigued. I don't know how long, like what the time span is that this book takes place over, but I feel like I've told this story before. I went to a psychic like a cajillion years ago. It was the first time I had ever gone, and she had asked me if I wanted to know how old I was when I was going to die, and I said sure. I didn't know. And she told me, I'm not going to repeat it here because I feel like I don't want to put it back out in the universe. I mean, it's a long time from now, but still. And then I told my friends at lunch afterwards, because I went with some of my friends, and they were like, you never say yes to that question. And I was like, oh, okay. So we'll see. We'll see. I wrote a whole story about it in a writing class I did years ago. But anyway, maybe that's why I'm more intrigued by this one. It just sounds really, really interesting. It sounds really, really interesting. Okay. Then let's take a little bit of a turn. So this is outside Audrey's wheelhouse, and I am going into it by choice. It's outside my wheelhouse because it's a bit of historical fiction. Let me get the title right so I can actually bring it up. Hold, please. This is The Bells, and this is by Lacey N. Dunham. So it says richly atmospheric, dark academia, its debut. A young woman with a secretive past will risk everything, including her life, to fit in. So it is 1951 at the secluded Bellerton College, and Dina Williams is an outsider doing her best to blend in with all of her wealthy and perfectly groomed peers. Infamous for its strict rules as much as its prestige, attending Bellerton could give Dina the comfortable life she's always dreamed of. She quickly forms an alliance with the 5 other freshmen on her floor, and soon they are singled out by the president's wife as the most promising girls of their class, who anoints the bells. They walk the college's halls in menacing unison, matching velvet ribbons in their hair. But no sisterhood comes without secrets, and the bells are no exception. Playing cruel pranks on their dormitory house mother and embarking on boundary-shattering night games, the bells test the limits of the campus rules. But as Dina begins to piece together the sinister history of Bellerton, her own past threatens to come to light, forcing her to make a dangerous choice. So it's this chilling and seductive coming-of-age story. It's an excavation of the dark side of girlhood, the intricacies of privilege, and the unbridled desire to belong at any cost. I am so excited for this book. So outside my wheelhouse in a lot of ways, absolutely square in my wheelhouse in other ways. Bring it on. Bring it all the way on. The next book I have is by one of my favorite spooky season authors. This is Play Nice by Rachel Harrison. Her book Cackle is hands down one of my favorites. I read that a few years ago. It absolutely exceeded my expectations. And then last year I read So Thirsty, so she has a couple more books to catch up on, but this one is perfect for spooky season. So it says, a woman must confront the demons of her past when she attempts to fix up her childhood home. So devilishly clever book about a haunted house, or clever take, I should say, on a haunted house. So we have Cleo Louise Barnes leads a picture-perfect life as a stylist and influencer. Love an influencer book. But beneath the glossy veneer, she harbors a not-so-glamorous secret. She grew up in a haunted house. Well, not haunted, possessed. After Cleo's parents' messy divorce, her mother Alex moved Cleo and her sisters into a house occupied by a demon, or so Alex claimed. That's not what Cleo's sisters remember, or what the courts determined when they stripped Alex of custody after she went off the deep end. But Alex was insistent. She even wrote a book about her experience in the house. So A Little Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. After Alex's sudden death, the supposedly possessed house passes to Cleo and her sisters. Where her sisters see childhood trauma, Cleo sees an opportunity for house-flipping content. Only, as the home makeover process begins, Cleo discovers there might be some truth to her mother's claims. And as memories resurface and Cleo finally reads her mother's book, the presence in the house becomes more real and more sinister, threatening to shake Cleo's life to its very foundation. Stay tuned for me reading this one on the sooner side. I'm very excited for this. The cover kind of creeps me out. She definitely was a little Bloody and So Thirsty, which was not at all surprising. There were a few, I don't do the body horror, you guys know. There's another book coming up that I'm a little bit worried has body horror in it, but I'm also intrigued by. So she definitely isn't afraid to go a little bit bloody, but I will read it because it's her. Very much a big fan of hers. Very much a big fan of hers. Is that even a phrase? It is now. So anyway, add it to your spooky list. Haunted house season. Let's go. Okay. Now, a book that I don't know if it's going to be bloody. Hold on. We have my good friend Ragnar Jonasson, who I've never met before, but I consider him a friend. Not really. The Mysterious Case of the Missing Crime Writer. So I was very lucky to get this from Minotaur. This is on my to read on the sooner side book. I love a book about a writer. I'm a huge fan of his books, Nordic noir, so he can definitely go dark. It's usually not bloody, but it is dark. He definitely likes to do dark and sinister. So in this book, we have a Golden Age style mystery. So one winter evening, best-selling crime author Ellen Jondesdottir goes missing. There are no clues to her disappearance, and it's up to young detective Helgi to crack the case before it's leaked to the press. As Helgi interviews the people closest to her, a publisher, an accountant, and a retired judge, he realizes Ellen's life wasn't what it seemed. In fact, her past is even stranger than the fiction she wrote. As the case of the missing crime writer becomes more mysterious by the hour, Helgi must uncover the secrets of the writer's very unexpected life. He manages to weave in, I feel like, that Agatha Christie vibe with these beautiful Icelandic settings. Like I said, it can get very dark, and I really enjoy his style of writing. I enjoy his mysteries. I'm very excited for this one. And like I said, also going to be reading this on the sooner side. At the time of me filming this, I need to get cracking. There's so many new releases coming out that I can't stop reading. So anyway, stay tuned for a full review on this one. I'm looking ahead. I see a 2002 date in here. So I don't know if we're going to get dual timelines. I see a 2005, a 2012. He loves a multiple timeline book. I'm just such a big fan of his. I'm such a big fan of his. So if you're not already reading him, I highly recommend it. He can write a fantastic story. A lot of his books are also on the shorter side, so it's great to be able to binge a whole bunch of his books and just looking at the front. So this is also translated from Icelandic. This is translated by Victoria Cribb. So there's a reading list in the front. There looks like maybe a little bit of mixed media. I'm excited. I'm very excited. Thank you, Minotaur. Another dark academia book, which I'm very excited about. We are now moving into September 16th. This is The Academy by Ellen Hildebrand and Shelby Cunningham. So Shelby is her daughter. This is just I think rich people behaving badly at a boarding school. This is everything I love. A good old dark academia, a little bit of mystery. I'm totally here for this. And no joke, the cover of this, so I went to a public school. This 1000% looks like my high school, which is just wild to me. A little bit different on the front. We had steps on the front, but the brick, the white, the tower, all of it looks strikingly like my high school. So anyway, not that that makes a difference, but I love a little familiar connection. So this is a New England boarding school, and it is move-in day. It's Tiffin Academy. So it says, and amidst the happy chaos of friends reuniting, selfies uploading, and cars unloading, shocking news, America Today just ranked Tiffin the #2 boarding school in the country. It's a 17-spot jump. Suspect? Was there a typo? The dorms need to be renovated. Their sports team always comes in last place. And let's just say Tiffin students are known for being more social than academic. On the other hand, the campus is exquisite, class sizes are small, and the dining hall is run by an acclaimed New York chef. And they do have fun, lots of parties and school dances, and a piano man plays in the student lounge every Monday night. But just as the rarefied air of Tiffin is suffused with self-congratulation, the wheels begin to turn and then they fall right off the bus. One by one, scandalous blind items begin to appear on phones across Tiffin's campus, thanks to a new app called ZipZap, and nobody is safe. So we have an international influencer, the resident queen bee. We have the new and surprisingly young history teacher. We have a transfer student who's determined to fit in, an admissions director. Everybody has something to hide. So it says, as if high school wasn't dramatic enough, as the year unfolds, bonds are forged and broken, secrets are shared and exposed, and the lives of Tiffin's students and staff are changed forever. So boarding school life, secrets, so kind of like a PLL, kind of like a Gossip Girl vibe to it. I'm intrigued. So I think we all know that Ellen kind of retired from writing, but like, just kidding. She just retired her Nantucket series. So I love the idea that she wrote this with her daughter, who I want to say just graduated from college. And I'm just super curious about it. So I think it's going to be fun. I think it's perfect for this time of year. And color me intrigued. Color me intrigued. Another thriller. This is The Wasp Trap by Mark Edwards. So another dinner party. This one's in Notting Hill. And it turns into a sinister game as 6 old friends are forced to spill their darkest secrets, or else. So 6 friends reunite in London to celebrate the life of their recently deceased ex-employer, a professor that brought them together in 1999 to help build a dating website based on psychological testing. But what is meant to be a night of bittersweet nostalgia soon becomes a twisted and deadly game when the old friends find themselves held at gunpoint. They are given an ultimatum: reveal their darkest secrets to the group or pick each other off one by one. Seen a theme in books I like? You guys know. It soon becomes clear that their current predicament is related to their shared past. The love questionnaire they helped develop in 1999 for the dating site was also turned into a tool for weeding out the wasp trap. This and the other tragic events of that summer long ago may help reveal the truth behind a killer hiding in plain sight. Alternating between past and present, colorful ensemble of characters, fast-paced and twisty, perfect for fans of Lucy Foley and Alice Feeney. Yes, I'm in. Worst dinner party ever, obviously. But what the heck does this questionnaire have to do? What is the wasp trap? And you're going to have to tune in to find out. So very excited for this one. Now we have a psychological suspense. This is The Wives of Hawthorne Lane by Stephanie DeCarolis. I'm going to go with that. And we have Hawthorne Lane is the perfect place to live. I do love a dark and messed up suburban story. Its tree-lined street and stately homes are the envy of the town. Every Halloween, the residents of Hawthorne Lane come together to host their famous fall festival. But this year, somebody won't survive the night. We have a murder investigation ensues. It's quickly very clear there's more going on behind closed doors than meets the eye. And for 4 women, each with secrets worth killing for, they find themselves at the center of it all. So 4 women in this neighborhood have stuff going on. We've got a newcomer in town, of course. So it says, as the clock ticks down to Halloween, their lives will cross in the most unexpected ways. And soon only one question remains. Who will pay the ultimate price for the lies they all tried so hard to bury? I just love these dark and messed up suburban stories. Anything Desperate Housewife-esque. And it just sounds like a very good time. Sounds like a very good time. Another book that grabbed me from the cover that looks very reminiscent to another book that I cannot place the name of. I feel like it's something by Susie Steiner that I absolutely haven't read yet. But this is The Vanishing Place by Zoe Rankin. This looks so dark and creepy and so perfect for this time of year. So it says, you can't escape, but you can vanish. Yes. A shocking murder in the New Zealand bush, and the witness, who looks all too familiar, draws a woman back to the very place she swore she'd never return. It's a debut thriller. It's a reluctant return home. Looks dark and atmospheric. Please, yes, everything. Yes. A child who ran from the forest, a woman who must return to it. Growing up with her younger siblings in the unforgiving New Zealand bush, Effie believed their parents had cut them off from civilization because they loved nature. She never suspected that the reasons might be more menacing. After witnessing a terrifying episode of violence, she escaped the wilderness to forge a life for herself halfway across the globe. Now, when she learns the only witness to a murder is a little girl who looks just like her, Effie is compelled to return to the scene of her troubled childhood, where the secrets of her upbringing and the terrors of her past come rushing back to the surface. In order to find out, once and for all, what became of her family, and possibly help this mysterious girl who could be her younger self, Effie must face her greatest fears once more. I don't know. It just looks very dark and chilling. It feels very seasonally atmospheric. And I'm totally drawn to it. I love this cover. Very very excited. And then we're going to take a lighter turn. So we have the fourth book in a series. This is Murder on the Marlowe Bell. This is part of the Marlowe Murder Club series by Robert Thorogood. This is a PBS series, which I want to say has already started at the time of me filming this. So I really enjoyed this series. I am absolutely behind a little bit. And there's a part of me that is like, do I really want to read what this one is about? Marlowe Murder Club is just a fun... It's in the vein of like an Anthony Horowitz book. We have an older protagonist, Judith Potts, who kind of accidentally finds herself involved in a murder, small town, has a little bit of like an Agatha Christie vibe to it, has a little bit of a Murder, She Wrote vibe to it. It's humorous, it's a good time, and I really feel like I don't want to read the story of this. I feel like you can read these all independently. I don't think it actually spoils anything. So we have Verity. If you guys don't want to hear it, just blow right past this part, but I don't think anything's going to spoil anything from an earlier book. So we have Verity is worried about her husband Oliver because he didn't come home last night. So of course she goes straight to Judith Potts, Marlowe's resident amateur sleuth, for help. So Oliver is the founder of the Marlowe Amateur Dramatic Society, and he hired the Marlowe Belle, a private pleasure cruiser, for an exclusive party, but no one remembers seeing him disembark. And then his body washes up on the Thames with 2 bullet holes in him. It's time for the Marlowe Murder Club to leap into action. So this is definitely cozy, funny, smart characters. There's some wit to it. There is a loud dog barking going for a walk outside, and I really enjoy it. So I definitely need to check out the PBS show, but I had a fun time with it. I enjoy his writing, and it's definitely like a good palate cleanser to some of the darker and more messed up books that I lean into. But again, I've always been a Murder, She Wrote fan, so I've always liked a little bit of the lighter side of things, but this is a fun one, definitely worth the read. So if you're interested in the series, I would totally give it a go. And then 2 more books for the 16th, which I also actually have. This is We Met Like This by Casey West. This was sent to me by Saturday Books, and this is, it says, a smart, sexy, modern romance. So this is an adult rom-com debut for Casey West. And we have Margot Hart is a hopeless romantic. That's why she wants to be a literary agent, books about writers, to help bring romance books to the world. It's also why she hates dating apps with all her romance-loving soul. She wants her own love story to be just as much fun as the books she reads. A mixed-up coffee order, a mistaken identity. She's not going to tell that story. She's not going to tell the story that she swiped right on her future husband's shirtless pic for the rest of her life. The problem is, her most consistent relationship over the last several years is with Oliver, a guy she keeps rematching with on the apps. They've only been on 1 date and it was a disaster. Well, until the makeout session in the car before parting ways. But she keeps reminding herself a makeout session and some witty banter does not a relationship make. Margot, I'm going to guess in this kind of a book, it absolutely does. So we fast forward 3 years. Margot's just gotten fired from her dream job, and on the same day she runs into Oliver. Could a repeat of the hot date they had years ago be something to consider, or is their incompatibility enough to move on? So she has more important things to focus on, like opening her own literary agency. But Oliver, the sweet man with the golden retriever energy, is more steady and helpful than any she has ever dated. But when Margot thinks this could happen, it's Oliver who pulls back, and his reasons are more than she bargained for. I hope it's steamy. Carly Fortune and Emily Henry have ruined me. They have ruined me. So it says it's got authors swooning, dazzling banter, delightful, clever spin. Have you rooting for these characters? I'm excited for this one. And, you know, I will keep you guys posted. I'm excited for this. I'm excited for this. So this is an ARC. I feel like the final copy has painted edges on it. If that's a reason to buy a book. It's absolutely a reason to buy a book. So anyway, keep an eye out for this one. And it looks like we're in California, I feel like. It looks very vineyardy. So I'll let you know when I read it. And then the next book I have, so you guys have been here for a minute and know all about Audrey's, like, I'm going to buy it in the UK because it came out there earlier and, you know, read it before it comes out here in 9 months. We have Other People's Houses by Claire McIntosh. Did I buy it in the UK? Like from the UK? So I could have it earlier? Yes. Have I read it yet? No, I have not. But, you know, they do the most beautiful books. And there's always like a clever cover to the series. This is the DC Fionn Morgan series. It is police detective, but it's quite humorous and witty, and Claire McIntosh darkness. So I'm a very big fan of it. And this one kind of revolves around some real estate, which intrigued me. So it says, you want what they have, but what price would you pay? So in the grand tradition of the best little blurbs ever, they know how to do it over there. We're only going to get a little bit. I'm not going to spoil anything from the first 3 books. So it says, even on the most desirable street, there's a dark side. The Hill is the kind of place everybody wants to live, luxurious, exclusive, and safe. But now someone is breaking and entering these Cheshire homes, one by one, and D.S. Leo Brady suspects the burglar is looking for something or someone in particular. Over the border in Wales, D.C. Fionn Morgan recovers the body of an estate agent from the lake. There's no love lost between Fionn and estate agents, but who hated this one enough to want her dead, and why? As their cases collide, Fionn and Leo discover people will pay a high price to keep their secrets behind closed doors. So the premise of the first book, The Last Party, is there is this lake that basically doesn't divide. The border between Wales and England is sort of in the middle of this lake. So when a body was found in book 1, it was sort of like, whose jurisdiction is it? So Fionn is from Wales, Leo is from England, and they had to work together. And it kind of becomes the theme of the books where like something bad happens sort of like right on the border. So they keep getting brought together. I really liked these books. I did not expect it to be as funny as it was, because I have read a bunch of Claire McIntosh books that did not have that levity humor to it. And I love police investigation. It also goes wonderfully dark. She's got a great map in here. Yes, and please, of the neighborhood. But I really love these books. I think they're fun. I love Fionn as a character. I love Fionn and Leo and their banter and their push and pull. And I will ultimately read this book. I had to have it. I had to have it. So on the back it says there's a dark side. Love it, love it, love it. So Last Party is the first book. Game of Lies is the second book. And then you have this one. I'm guessing you can probably jump into it. Having read Game of Lies, it definitely gives you stuff from book 1 to ground you. But I always love reading a series in order, which I always say when I've actually started the series in the beginning, but I'm sure you can just dive on in. The real estate market is fine. I'm still fiddling with my new tripod and it's a little bit loose the way I have it, so sorry if I keep moving the camera around. Okay, now we're gonna move into September 23rd. First book I have is A Tour to Die For by Michelle Chenard. This is the second book in a series, so I read the first book last year. The first book was called The Serial Killer's Guide to San Francisco. It took me a minute. So we have kind of an amateur detective. Capri is her name, or Capri, if you know, you know, the Valley. So she is back giving true crime tours for her guests. So her grandfather was accused of a murder, imprisoned long before she, was ever a blink in her parents' eyes. And in book number 1, a murder occurs that is in the same MO as what her grandfather was accused of. And she is sort of a true crime expert giving true crime tours around San Francisco. And she winds up getting involved in the case. And is there a connection to her family? And her dad never wanted to talk about his father. So she's really exploring that side of it. And, kind of like Finley Donovan-esque hijinks ensue kind of a book. Very fun time. Very fun time. In this one it says, Capri knows that when you give serial killer walking tours for a living, unexpected situations are more common than San Francisco's famous fog. So when one of her guests claims to see a woman being attacked during the tour, Capri remains unfazed. The police search the apartment in question and find no evidence of anything amiss. So they chalk it up to a false report from a true crime fanatic looking to be part of a case. And Capri thinks they might be right, since lately her tours have been attracting even more obsessives than usual. So her involvement in that murder in book number 1 apparently has garnered her some new attention. So it says, something about the whole situation has every one of her investigative journalist instincts going haywire. Why would anybody lie about seeing an attack? So she starts to dig and she's gonna find something. So yes, very much I would say Every time I go on vacation, somebody dies, kind of a vibe. The Cat Ale series, the Finley Donovan series. So it's definitely like cozy adjacent, witty, smart, fun. Again, set in San Francisco, serial killer-ish. Yes, I'm already in. I'm already in for this one. I'm excited to see what happens next. Then we have A Killer Wedding by Joan O'Leary. So this says wildly witty and wickedly fun. The blurb says billionaire level wealth that reads like the Devil Wears Prada protagonist played a game of Clue at a White Lotus hotel. There's a lot of comps for you. So Christine can't believe her luck. The iconic Gloria Beaufort, not related to the guy in Save Me, founder of the billion-dollar beauty empire Glow, has personally chosen her to cover her grandson's wedding for Bespoke, the cult fashion magazine that every A-list bride dreams of being featured in. A career-making scoop and a free trip to a castle turned five-star hotel on the Emerald Isle feels too good to be true. Because it is. Gloria is found dead on the very first morning of the celebratory weekend, and her entire family wants to keep her death a secret and for the wedding to march on. Yikes! When Gloria's heirs issue a chilling warning to Christine to keep things quiet, she can't help but wonder if one of them is guilty. There's the son who's hiding a damaging lawsuit, resentful daughter-in-law, a grandson who's had too many run-ins with the law, ambitious granddaughter who's hiding more than a secret, and Gloria's favorite grandchild, the too-good-to-be-true groom. As Christine navigates a world where glamour masks grimy secrets and everyone she meets is a suspect, she realizes that amongst the glitzy elite, nothing is as it seems. How are they going to have the wedding without the mother or the grandmother? Oh, I hope it's not a Weekend at Bernie's situation. So it says humorous mystery that proves you'll never forget your wedding day, especially when it starts with a murder. Killer wedding, man. Killer wedding. The next book I have was also sent to me by Berkeley. This is Slash Beauties by A. Rushby. So I talked about this on a book haul I did recently. This is the one that I'm a little bit afraid has body horror in it, but I've seen some people already review it and just were sort of like, I think it's like a little bit unhinged and wild and kind of amazing. So we're gonna proceed, maybe with my eyes covered if it goes body horror-ish. But it's a Gothic feminist body horror in two timelines revolving around three anatomical Venuses, ultra-realistic wax figures of women that come to life at night, murder men who have wronged them. So it's kind of like Mannequin, but really dark and messed up is the vibe I'm getting. So we have Soul in present day. We have an antiques dealer. She has at last secured Elizabeth, the final anatomical Venus in a dangerously intertwined trio. Crafted in 18th century London and modeled after real-life sex workers to entice male medical students to study female anatomy, these eerie wax figures, known as slashed beauties, carry unsavory lore. We have London in 1763. Abandoned and penniless in Covent Garden, wide-eyed Eleanor and another young woman, Emily, are taken under the wing of the beautiful and beguiling Elizabeth, one of the city's most highly desired courtesans. But as Eleanor is seduced deeper into a web of money, materialism, and men, it seems that Elizabeth may not be the savior she appears to be. So we get past and present intersecting, and it says it becomes clear the women's stories are linked in deeper, darker ways than it initially seemed. And the only method for Ailes, who is our present-day character in Soul, to end the witchcraft that binds her legacy is to gather all three models in one place and destroy them. The problem is Elizabeth is not ready to burn, far from it. Centuries on, she's determined to rise again, and she will obliterate anything standing in her way. Sounds like really dark and messed up. Sounds really dark and messed up. So stay tuned. So London, past and present, and Soul, it looks like. So Soul, yeah, and it looks like past and present London, maybe? I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out. So another out of my wheelhouse, but kind of in my wheelhouse. And then the next book coming out on the 23rd is We Love You, Bunny by Mona Awad. So this is the sequel to Bunny. And I don't want to read what this one's about in case you haven't read Bunny yet. But it says Frankenstein meets Heathers in this dazzling, hilarious, deliciously dark follow-up to Bunny. So I'm really excited about this. I keep saying this about these books that I'm holding up. I'm gonna read this on the sooner side. I wanna read this one before it comes out. This was sent to me by Simon & Schuster, and it is actually, let me get the right imprint, Mary Sue Rucci Books. So I'm very excited for this one. I love the hot pink of it all. But if you are new to Bunny, which I want to say came out in I was gonna say 2019, but I feel like that's not right. 2019, look at me, ding dong, got one right. So we have a scholarship student who prefers the company of her dark imagination to that of most people. Samantha Heather Mackey is utterly repelled by the rest of her graduate fiction cohort in New England's elite Warren University, a clique of unbearably saccharine yet sinister rich girls who call each other Bunny and seem to move and speak as one. But everything changes when Samantha receives an invitation to the Bunny's fabled smut salon and finds herself inexplicably drawn to their front door. Almost got that word wrong. Ditching her only friend Ava in the process. But as Samantha plunges deeper and deeper into the Bunny's world and begins to take part in their monstrous experiments, the edges of reality begin to blur. And soon her friendship with Ava and the Bunnies will be brought to a deadly collision. So, if you're here for the dark and messed up, Heathers Meets Frankenstein, I absolutely love it. I'm very excited for this. Very excited for this. It's Bunny season, you guys. It's Bunny season. I love it. I love it. I love it. I think this might be the longest new release video I've ever done. Okay, let's wrap out the 23rd with A Killer Question by Janice Hallett. So she wrote The Appeal, which I absolutely loved. She's written a bunch of books since then, but like The Appeal was the first book of hers and the first book that I read. And I've got some catching up to do, but we're not here to judge. But The Killer Question absolutely caught my eye. So she always does mixed media. Her books are so smart. They're so quick. Puzzles in them. Like, you get all of the information, which was the whole thing in The Appeal. There are two basically like legal interns that are sifting through this case from a year ago to try and solve it. And we are getting all the information they're getting. So we should, in theory, be able to solve it too. So it's kind of a fun puzzle to be a part of. And now we've got a new book from her. So it says, the answer is murder. The question is whodunit. Sue and Mal Eastwood run an isolated rural pub called The Case is Altered, where a weekly trivia game has revived its flagging fortunes. That is, until a body is found in the nearby river. Soon after, a mysterious new team arrives and shakes up the diverse field of regulars by scoring top marks in every round every week. Meanwhile, Sue and Mal have a secret of their own. Before arriving here, they were caught up in a secret police operation, which meant they had to leave town, and whatever happened back then seems to have finally caught up with them. 5 years later, the pub lies derelict, and their nephew Dominic is determined to make a documentary about their story. What happened at this unassuming pub, and can a single question really kill? Dun, 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 dun. I'm very curious what the format of this is going to be, because her other books have had like email messages, text messages, like I said, a lot of mixed media. So I'm very curious about the formatting of this one. So it says epistolary style. So we'll find out. Anyway, I really enjoy her books and I'm very excited for this one. Okay. Let's move into September 30th. I have a few more to go. Thank you for sticking with me. If you have made it this far and you're liking what you're seeing, feel free to like. If you haven't subscribed, feel free to subscribe if you're still here. More of it is coming. More of it is coming. Okay, I can't type. Guilty by Definition is the name of the book. It is by Susie Dent. And this is like another kind of writer-esque book, which caught my eye. I mean, there's a book on the cover with like a knife sticking in it, which caught my eye. So she said, the book says, she knew there would be ghosts at Oxford. She just didn't think they would make their way to the dictionary. Oxford, England. After a decade abroad, Martha Thornhill has returned home to the city where ancient institutions have long defined her family. But the ghost she had thought to be at rest seemed to have been waiting for her return. When an anonymous letter is delivered to the Clarendon English Dictionary, where Martha is a newly hired senior editor, it's rapidly clear that this is not the usual lexicographical inquiry. Instead, the coded letter hints at secrets and lies linked to a particular year. The date can only mean one: the summer Martha's brilliant older sister Charlie went missing. When more letters arrive, Martha and her team pull apart the complex clues within them, and soon the mystery becomes even more insistent and troubling, because it seems Charlie has been keeping a powerful secret, and someone may be trying to lead the lexicographers towards the truth that will unravel the mystery of her disappearance. But other forces are no less desperate to keep their secrets well and truly buried, and Martha and her team must crack the codes before it's too late. I want to say this already came out in the UK. Yeah, this was first published in August 2024, so we are late to the party here in the US. But I'm intrigued by this one. I'm not sure what to think, but it totally caught my eye, and I'm just very intrigued what this one's all about. So, I don't know. Has anybody seen this one or read this one? Let me know. I'm seeing reviews all over the board, but I don't know. Word puzzles and trying to figure stuff out. I don't know. Seems like a good time. Seems like a good time. Okay, the next one seems a little bit creepy. This is called The October Film Haunt. This is by Michael Wehunt. I have a little bit of a fear that this one might be too much for me, but we'll see. I really push my boundaries sometimes and like to freak myself out. So it says horror movie meets the scope and emotion of Stephen King. 10 years ago, Jory Stroud was the rising star of The October Film Haunt, a trio of horror enthusiasts who camped out at the filming locations of their favorite scary movies, sharing their love through their popular blog. But after a night in the graveyard from Proof of Demons, perhaps the most chilling cult film ever made, directed by the enigmatic Helene Enriquez, everything unraveled. Now Jory has built an isolated life with her young son in Vermont. In the devastating wake of her viral truth-stretching Proof of Demons blog entry, hysteria, internet backlash, and the death of a young woman, Jory has put it all, along with her intense love of the horror genre, behind her. Until a videotape arrives in the mail, Jory feels someone might be filming her, and the Rickies, Enriquez's obsessives, who would do anything for the reclusive director, begin to cross lines in shocking ways. It seems Helene Enriquez is making a new kind of sequel, and Jory is her final girl. I feel like my description of this is making it more confusing than it is. So danger grows, unexpected and strange, and Jory must search for the answers before the proof of the movie's title finds her and takes everyone she loves. So she was way deep into it, sleeping at places where horror movies are filmed. Something bad really went down. She got way out of it. And now they're trying to make like a real life horror movie and she's the final girl. This might be so far out of my comfort zone. A riveting and layered horror novel. I don't know. Beautiful and horrifying. Ooh, I feel like it's going to be like a through the fingers kind of a thing. I don't know. Perfect for spooky season. Even if it scares me a little bit, I want to be sure to share it because you just never know. It's got a gorgeous cover to it and it caught my eye. So we will see what happens with this one. We'll see if Audrey puts on her bravery cloak and decides to give this one a go. Okay, we're going to end on a little bit of a lighter note. This is Old Money. This is by Kelsey Miller. This feels so square in my wheelhouse. The cover alone, I was like, yep, absolutely. What is going on here? It just looks like rich people behaving badly. So we are 4th of July weekend, and 20 years ago, 16-year-old Caitlin Dale died unexpectedly. Like other affluent families of Briar Greens, Caitlin joined hers at the country club's annual party. They say she slipped by the pool, a tragic accident, but her cousin Alice knows the truth. Caitlin was murdered, and Alice saw who did it. This is very high season by Katie Bishop vibes. 20 years later, Alice returns to her childhood hometown seeking answers. Reluctant return home, question mark? The club where Caitlin died has barely changed, but its secrets, Alice soon discovers, are carefully hidden, and there are powerful people in Briar Greens who would like them to stay that way. This is a debut. Kelsey Miller transports us to the brooding enclave reminiscent of Sleepy Hollow. Shout out to Westchester. And one with a long history, a short fuse, and a narrator determined to seek justice at all costs. Game on. This also has like a slight vibe on the cover of My Friends and Neighbors with John Hamm on Apple TV, which I loved. I'm very much here for the messed upness of it all. Just give me all the rich people behaving as horribly, horribly, horribly as humanly possible. Is that too much to ask? I don't think it is. I don't think it is. I know my wheelhouse and I stick to it and I'm not mad about it. Okay, So that's what we have. That's what we have. Is that enough for you guys? Is that enough? Let me know what you guys are reading, what you guys are digging, what you have read already that was on this list. Recommendations are always welcome. And I'm gonna let you guys go because we've probably been here for an hour. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for being here. And I will see you in another video coming up soon. I've got some fall like thriller recommendations, so books I've already read and some books on my fake TBR to talk about. And I think I'm going to embark on a real declutter. I think I have a project in my future. So let me know if you'd be interested in that. And I don't know, we'll see what else pops. But until then, take care, everybody. Stay cool. Fall is here for all my fall friends out there. We are so close, friends. We are so close. So take care, everybody, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.